I saw not one, but two ghosts in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania in 2006, and here's the story. Here's a quick shot of me and my friends who visited. We are on one of the many haunted battlefields there. Here we are, me in the center in the black, my friend Nick, Andrew, and I forget her name. At the time, we were freshmen in college, and we were going to the University of Delaware, and we drove to Gettysburg because Nick's friend went there, and we were invited for a wild and crazy weekend. Now, already looking at this place, you're like, okay, that's creepy. That's probably haunted. It kind of looks like the Addams Family house. This is the house that we were staying in. It was built in the 1800s. It belonged to a fraternity called Crow, I think, and that's what we were dealing with. So the festivities on Saturday night were disgusting. It was a keg competition. They put a line down the center of the living room with duct tape, put two kegs, one keg on either side, split the frat up in half, and they said whoever finishes the keg first on whichever side wins. I don't know what they win, but they put so a keg on either side, a garbage can on either side, and it was, let me tell you, it was disgusting because you weren't allowed to leave. So people were puking and peeing in the trash cans next to the kegs because that's how committed they were. They were like, we're not going to leave the room. We're going to drink until we finish this keg and be victorious and have bragging rights among our frat brothers. That's an important detail of the story because I was not drunk. I did not drink. I was disgusted by the entire thing, and I just removed myself from the situation. I found myself in a living room far away, and I just posted up on the couch and eventually fell asleep, sober. The next morning, I wake up around 9 a.m., and this is when shit gets creepy. So I was there. The light was coming in, 9 a.m. I'm starting to wake up. My eyes are slowly opening, and at the foot of the couch where I was sleeping, I see a woman and a child. A woman, probably mid-20s. A child couldn't have been more than 7 or 8 years old, both female. The young lady was wearing, the headdress, the 1860s clothing, Civil War era clothing. Same with the child, although I couldn't make out the child's face. I was just fixated on this young lady's face, and she was looking at me and she was smiling, and I don't know why, and she was kind of leaning in a bit towards me, and I nearly lost it. So I immediately shut my eyes in fear and thought of two possible scenarios of what might be happening here. Number one, the frat brothers were fucking with the new guy, and they put a mannequin or two mannequins in the corner to scare me as soon as I wake up. The second scenario was, okay, we're in Civil War territory. There's a reenactment going on nearby, and there's actors from the reenactment somehow had found their way into the living room that I was sleeping in. After having those thoughts, I immediately opened my eyes and I looked to the foot of the couch, and there is nobody there. When I tell you I jumped out of that couch faster than you've ever seen, I literally popped up, jumped straight out the room into the next room. My friend Andrew was sleeping. I woke his ass up. I said, Andrew, we got to go right now. He goes, what? I go, I can't tell. I literally couldn't articulate what I had seen. I was so freaked out. Everything was just clenching. I said, Andrew, we must leave. I'll tell you when we leave. I don't know. We just got to get out of here. I'll tell you in the car. We find ourselves at a diner downtown Gettysburg near the train tracks, and we order our food, and the food comes, and I'm finally able to say what it is that I had seen. His response was great because he didn't even question it. He looked at me and he goes, huh, makes sense. Felt weird in that house last night, and yeah, I believe you. So after we eat, we go back to the house because it's Sunday. We have to pick up our friends, and we got to drive the 4 hours back to college. We're all 18, but the guy we were visiting, his name was also Andrew. He was 21, so we had the bright idea of taking him to the beer store and giving him a couple bucks to buy us a bunch of cases of beer so that we could go back to college as heroes. Mind you, at this point, I never told Andrew what it is I had seen. So on the car ride to the beer store, I just kind of tested the waters. But I go, hey, Andrew, has there ever been anything strange or paranormal or weird that has occurred in the house in your experience? And he goes, oh, yeah, of course. He goes, it's kind of a known fact. Everyone that lives in this house, there are about 20 bedrooms in this house. He goes, everyone that lives in this house has heard footsteps or heard voices. He goes, I've heard those things. He goes, but I've never seen anything. That's when I tell him the story. As you can imagine, he had no reaction. He was just like, oh yeah, sounds about right. He said that the original owner of the home had a mistress that was either killed or committed suicide. I can't remember that detail. He said that is the woman who haunts the home, and I said, Andrew, I saw her this morning. I am convinced. Again, he was like, oh, cool. Like, so deadpan. Like, it's such a common thing there that it doesn't even faze them. So we go back to the house one more time to collect our belongings, and my friend Andrew at the time was an amateur photographer, had a DSLR camera, and we had some ideas. I said, let's go into the room where I saw these ghosts earlier today and let's do some ghost hunting. Let's just document every corner of the room and see if we could find something. I actually built up the courage and I stood where I saw the young adult female ghost earlier that morning. I stood exactly where she stood in the same position, and I had Andrew photograph me in that position. I say we took about 20 to 30 photos, and then we jetted out of there. We drove the 4 hours, and then we go back into our dorm, take the memory card out of his camera, upload it onto his laptop, and this is where it gets crazy. Most of the photos were unremarkable, nothing really of note, but then there's this one photo, the photo where I am standing, where the young lady stood earlier that day, is where we see some shit. Disclaimer, I am not an expert in paranormal activity and ghost hunting or anything. I just see something in here that I think is weird, that I have been told might be the entities represented on camera, as sometimes they are in this format, and that is the orbs. When we opened this photo on Andrew's laptop, we all screamed. There's a little orb here and a large orb here. There are no orbs in any other photo that he took, except this one. Little orb, big orb. Child, young adult female. We were like, that's it. There they are. There they are in the photo. Now, I've shared this story probably 30 to 40 times in my life. Maybe 90% of everyone I tell believes me. The other 10 say I'm lying, I'm making it up. I'm not a sensationalist. I don't make up stories. I'm not that kind of person. All I know is that I saw what I saw. I was sober. I was not under the influence of any drugs, any alcohol. I was in Gettysburg. It's known to be an incredibly haunted place. I never saw a ghost before that time. I haven't seen a ghost since that time. I don't know what it was, but I know what I saw. Anyway, thanks for listening. That's my story. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want to talk more about this, happy to share any other details. Again, 2006 is a long time ago now, 18 years ago, but you don't forget these kinds of things.